Stream from the Men of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. Today we're talking about the biggest wealth transfer that has ever happened in history and how you can benefit from it by understanding what's happening in the world today. Okay, we want to be specific about what's going on. You know what's going on. Okay, there's financial issues in the world. Okay, and like what's happening in the governments and them basically just printing a bunch of cash is really bad, okay, from a long-term perspective. Okay, they might be trying to help out people here and there, okay, good on them for trying to help, but it's not really helping. Okay, if we understand the printing machine, and they're not even using printers anymore, they're just putting zeros behind all of the, like banks are simply allowed to give out cash on a continual basis, and it's for free, basically. And the only people making money are the banks. So what can you do in order for you to benefit from the wealth transfer that is happening as we speak right now? And what should you focus on? Let's first understand the big picture. The last time an empire like this truly fell was pretty much the Roman Empire, okay? Like the fall of the Netherlands and the fall of the British Empire was not as catastrophic as the Roman Empire and the decline of the Roman Empire, okay? That's a long time ago. We have no idea how it's going to look like once the dollar approaches the value of zero, zilch, nothing. The biggest reserve currency in the entire world that is required in order for you to buy oil is going to hyperinflate. That is according to my opinion, but also the opinion of many very highly professional, highly educated people who understand what they're talking about. One of the guys that you should probably check out is Peter Schiff. He talks about it and has been talking about it forever, and it's actually happening as we speak. He did a Joe Rogan podcast that lasted 3 hours. I haven't watched it yet, but he knows what he's talking about. And I believe that it's going to happen because the way that they're printing, it's getting less and less value as we speak all the time. So, the Roman Empire. How did that collapse, huh? Maybe you should study it. Maybe you should understand the hidden secrets of money written by, or the videos that were presented by Mike Maloney. Understand what's going on, guys. How can you benefit? You have to understand gold and silver, but I actually put that a little bit on the less priority because me personally, I'm not diversifying myself in those areas of life because I understand what's also beneficial to have at a time like that when things are in crisis mode. To basically be carrying a lot of gold and silver, yes, there's definitely value in that, absolutely. Get yourself a gold coin, get yourself some silver while you can. Because the time will come when there's not going to be any available. Like literally, those people who are saving money in the bank right now are going to be screwed. Because you understand that banks in the past had promissory notes, basically meaning that they had gold in their vaults. If you haven't learned this stuff, you need to understand it. They had gold in their vaults and then they gave out paper, okay, which was basically, well, you have this much in gold, but we're giving you this paper so you can go around and buy whatever you need for your family instead of using gold as the thing that in order to barter with gold. Do you understand what I mean? So the bank was basically the ones that was holding your gold, and then you went out and bought with this paper promissory notes that you got from the bank. Over time, however, what has happened? The bank doesn't have gold anymore. Okay, they're not required to have gold. When Nixon took the dollar off of the gold standard, it wasn't necessary for banks to have gold in their vaults anymore. So what happened? Well, basically the gold is now basically someone else's, while what you get from the bank is paper. It literally is paper and is solely based on trust that this paper has value. But what people are beginning to recognize now that this paper actually does not have that much value anymore. And over time, the more people are printing, or the more the US government is printing cash, and the more all the other governments are printing cash, because they needed to also go off the gold standards themselves in order for them to compete with America. Okay, like, so once all of this was going on, what we have now is paper. Okay, it has no value whatsoever, and the more they print it, the less value it will have. So what's happening? Well, once things become completely worthless, once paper is completely worthless, well, what's still of value? Well, the things that you own. Maybe your house, unless the banks owns it, because you don't have the ability to pay the money that is necessary in order for you to keep the house, right? If you think about hyperinflation, how does hyperinflation look like? Well, it's basically that the value of money exponentially decreases, which means that everything increases in price. Okay, understand that. The hyperinflation, it decreases the value of the dollar, or whatever currency you want, but that means that it increases the price of everything, including food, including housing, including rent, including everything. Okay? Which means that you will need a lot of paper money in order for you to buy whatever it is that you need. The one thing that is very slow at increasing at the same pace, okay, with the inflation of the prices, are salaries. So if you have a job, then you're the one who's going to get screwed. If you don't have a job, but you have a lot of savings, you are going to be more screwed. Okay? So you understand what's going on here. If you have a job, then at least they'll increase your salary a little bit at a time, but it's going to massively lag behind the hyperinflation of the cash, because they can print money faster than you can get a raise from your boss. Does that make sense? So, the biggest wealth transfer in history is basically that all of the cash is going to be taken from everyone that has money right now, that has paper assets, okay? But that wealth that they have, or the middle class, what they have, if they don't understand this global wealth transfer shift that is going to happen, they're going to not have any money. The only money that they're going to have is basically their skill sets and their ability to lead, their ability to start a business, and if they've actually secured themselves some proper crypto or Bitcoin or gold and silver. Other than, and some real estate, or maybe if they have some stocks that have massively increased in value because the companies are still around and they somehow manage to still operate and be in business because everyone still needs their services, there's going to be so many businesses that go out of business. It is absolutely ridiculous. If you look at what's happening in the world today, probably about 50% of businesses are going to go out of business once there's a massive hyperinflation. How can I back those numbers up? I can't, okay? You just have to imagine how it would look like if people don't have any money whatsoever, and they don't have any value that they can offer these companies, and these companies can't hire people and can't pay them according to the hyperinflation, etc., etc., etc. Does that make sense? So you are now in the circumstance where you can prepare yourself. Hopefully, we don't know how long it's going to take. Only thing I know is that the Norwegian kroner, for example, I'm Norwegian, right? In March of this year, like, it went very badly for it because of the oil. The oil had issues, and the Norwegian kroner suffered because of it. And at that time, there was 12 Norwegian kroners for $1. Okay, now the oil has bounced back now pretty much, but the dollar is now the weakest that it has ever been compared to the Norwegian kroner, and that it's weakest that it's been basically the last few years, but right now it's 9 kroners. So compared to March until now, which is about 5 or 6 months, okay, it's decreased by 25%. Okay, so that's just one currency, but you gotta understand how also in relation to gold, when you look at gold's price, it's not gold that increases in value. Okay, gold remains gold. That's basically the value of gold is what it is. But what's happening when gold goes up in price is that is that the dollar is the one that loses its value. So the faster you see that gold increases in price or silver increases in price, you may know for a fact that the faster the dollar is decreasing in value as well. So now that we know all of this stuff, if you don't understand it, begin to study it out. Take some time out of your day to understand what's going on. Don't just accept whatever I'm saying, okay? Like, really look at Mac Maloney. I'll put the Hidden Secrets of Money. Just look up Hidden Secrets of Money. You'll find him. He's got amazing stuff. And then you've got Peter Schiff, and then you've got one of my big favorites, Ivan on Tech. Okay, I'm going to explain a little bit more about him afterwards. But what I'm trying to explain to you is just educate yourself a little bit more than what you have been in the past if you don't understand what's going on. This is huge, okay? And the biggest wealth transfer is that everyone who has kind of cash right now, but who don't prepare themselves for this massive devaluation of the dollar, all of that cash, all of that money, all of those valuables are going to be transferred to the people that have gotten themselves prepared. That's what the biggest wealth transfer in history is going to be. There are tons of wealthy, rich people that have been preparing themselves for years for this and that have been accumulating gold, accumulating silver as much as possible over time. Okay, because they know that at the end of the tunnel, at the end of the financial collapse, they're the ones that are going to be on top. Does that make sense? So, but you can participate and prepare yourself so that you're better ahead than those that are in the middle class that are just simply working away with you know, having full-time jobs and having families and being distracted by health issues and this and that and the other. You can prepare yourself and come out better ahead than you have been in the past. So literally, the financial collapse can actually be a positive thing for you in terms of you getting more wealth than you've ever had in your entire life if you are prepared, if you're investing in the right things, if you're educating yourself and becoming a leader, an entrepreneur, a capitalist. Because once there's tons of problems, can you imagine 50% of companies, as an example, goes bankrupt because they can't operate anymore because they were too big. They were conglomerates. And because they were too big, they can't navigate themselves. It's kind of like you have two ships, okay? One is the Titanic, and then you've got like one little boat that's like right? Okay? Like, which one can best navigate when you're moving towards a massive, massive iceberg? Okay? The Titanic is going to try and steer, but it's going to be difficult. The robot is like, easy. Okay? I steered away from it. That's the way you need to think about your circumstance as one individual who can create solutions to problems for people as an entrepreneur that is better, faster, more adapted to the current circumstance than this huge conglomerate that is having difficulty steering the boat in when things are happening fast. Does that make sense? So 50% of businesses hypothetically go out of business. That produces a lot of options, okay, or a lot of problems. And when there's a lot of problems, then you can come in there and swoop in and make money fast because people are looking for solutions because, the company that they got it from is out of business. And especially the rich. You got to understand that there's always going to be rich people, and the wealth that is basically in the world is going to be exactly the same. Like in terms of skills, like people are going to have the exact same skills once there's a financial collapse. People are going to have the exact same things once there's a financial collapse. They're just going to be less produced. Like meaning cars are going to be produced less if there's a massive financial collapse because, people can't afford it, right? So what's going to go up in value? It's going to be people's skills, the ability to fix stuff because they can't buy new. So I need to continuously fix the thing that I have. You understand? You got to put your mind into the frame of what can I do in the future? What can I get good at that's going to massively raise in value once there's a financial collapse? Financial collapse proof your business and your skills so that you are massively needed once it happens. Because then you're always ready. Okay, let's say there's no financial collapse. It's like literally 2% chance that could happen. Like, I don't understand. Like, you look at what's happening in the situation today, it's like impossible for you to believe that there's not going to be a financial collapse. Like, how is it? It's not logical. And everything, like, even though it's not logical, it's logical when you understand psychology and when you understand human behavior and when you understand that politicians will never want to allow their the financial system to collapse on their watch. So what are they going to do? They're going to try and kick the can down the road a little bit further and then kick the can a little bit further. But at one point, you break your foot trying to kick that massive, problem down the road. So it has to happen. But people are just trying to push it away as much as possible, but it's not working anymore. So anyway, what can you do? What can you do? Now that you understand the big picture, I want you to understand the big picture about you, about your life, about your family, about your long-term picture. You want a family, you want them to be financially well off, you want to have a strong financial foundation for them. What are your skill sets? What are your interests? Because if your interests are a part of the feminine interests, which is basically a lot of the people who are in the semen retention community are very feminine for whatever reason, because the masculine ones don't need it. They get all the girls, they get all the success, and they don't have any problems getting what they want out of life. That's why they're like, semen retention? Why would I do that? It's like, ejaculating is the most pleasurable thing in life. I'm not going to give up that. What the hell? So the guys that come to semen retention community end up being the guys that struggle a lot and that are suffering. That's why they're looking for alternative problems. And that's kind of what semen retention is, until people understand what it actually can be done with it. But what does that mean? It means that you probably are very feminine. That's just how it is. Guess what? And because you're feminine, your hormones are linking yourself and your desires to things of a feminine nature, which means that you, as a feminine guy, most probably won't have the massive inclination to build a business. You'll probably notice I've got very few views on this video compared to my other semen retention videos that are so awesome. No, this is the kinds of videos that you guys should be watching to basically switch your mind over from the semen retention aspect of things, from the feminine aspect of things, of entertainment and of singing, dancing, all the other things that are basically taking up your time that should be done as a hobby, something you do for fun, but not something that you are trying to establish a career on. Does that make sense? Like when there's a financial massive collapse, do you think that people are going to want to spend money on, we need dancers for this show, or we need to watch a movie? Like, you get my drift? Like, I'm trying to explain to you that we will need entrepreneurs. We will need leaders who create solutions for the daily problems of life. Of course, there's always a place for entertainment, but have you noticed the competition that is out there now amongst men in the feminine arts and all the other things that have to do with emotions? There's no room for that now. Right now, there's too much competition, and if there's a financial collapse, there's going to be even more competition. You're going to see all the beggars are those that sing and dance and all do all the things that are low skilled in terms of solving people's problems. Okay, we want to move forward so that you can begin to hire 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, 10,000 people, 100,000 people. Are you ready for that? Do you have a solution that needs the employment of that many people? That's what we need to move towards. So if you understand the big picture of the financial collapse happening, then you'll begin to think about the big picture of what you can offer so that you and your family can be safe at, when it does come. Does that make sense? How long do we have? Well, I hope we have 5 years. Man, the longer we can kick this down the road, the richer you get. Because you're preparing every single day for the financial collapse, right? So it's like a positive thing that is kicked down the road. But that's a horrible thing for people in general. Because the longer it's kicked down the road, the more people believe that it's not going to happen. Does that make sense? But if you know it's going to happen, the longer it goes, the more you get to prepare. Awesome. So let's say it takes 5 years or 10 years. You've got tons of time to prepare. But let's say it happens this year or next year. There's not that much time. But imagine if you put in the effort of what you would have done if it's happening this year, and instead of spending 10 years to prepare, you compress the 10 years into that 1 year and take massive action this year to make sure that you secure your financial well-being long term. We understand that. Moving on. If you understand the big picture, it's time to get rid of distractions. It's time to unload yourself of as much burden as possible, because you understand that that's what femininity is. It's being unburdened, okay? So the problem with this is for women, right? They want to remain in their femininity, so they're trying to unburden themselves all of the time. Unless they're masculine and they want competition and they want burdens and all that stuff, but we don't, that's not very attractive, right? We want the feminine women that are unburdened, that are enjoying their lives. That's what makes it fun for us. However, as a man, you don't want to be feminine. And when you're feminine, you're going to be like, oh, I want to be unburdened and do fun stuff and just party and enjoy my life. Stop doing that. You're masculine. You've got responsibilities. And not only that, but the more you take on responsibilities, the happier you'll be as a masculine man. Because the more responsibilities you have, the more you raise your capacity, the more ability to solve problems you have, which means the more power you have, which means you're more valuable to people in general, including to women and to business partners, etc., right? We got to get rid of distractions. The biggest distraction that's in your life right now is women. Whether that's online or whether that's offline, both of them right now, if you're not wealthy, if you haven't secured your resources for a financial collapse, it's not the time for it. Does that make sense? If you have a family, fine. You've got responsibilities, take care of your family and figure out how to prepare the best way with your family. But if you're single and you're still dating, and you're still watching porn, and you're still doing the things that are basically massively wasting your time, you don't understand the big picture. You really do. You really don't, right? We've got to get rid of that distraction once and for all. Number one, get rid of women. Voluntary celibacy, practicing semen retention for as long as it takes for you to feel that you're financially prepared for the collapse. Whether that's accumulating Bitcoin, silver, gold, or accumulating leadership skills. You don't have enough leadership skills if you don't have 100K net worth in US dollars right now before the hyperinflation happens, right? So, getting rid of distractions, get rid of the feminine things of life, get rid of the stimulants, get rid of the alcohol, get rid of the cigarettes, get rid of any addiction that takes over your life, especially weed. Get rid of everything that messes with your brain that you need to have. Because the less you need in your life, the less burdens you have, which means that you can take on other burdens. Does that make sense? The more you're burdened with feminine stuff, the less you're able to take on the burden of the masculine agenda. Does that make sense? So the more you throw away feminine stuff, the more you open up your life for masculine stuff, for masculine responsibilities. That's powerful. That's amazing. So get rid of the distractions, which is basically all distractions are equal. Understand that. Even your mother, if you're living at home, it's a problem. You need to move out now. Even though you're like, yeah, but I'm supposed to invest in gold, silver, and Bitcoin, right? I'm supposed to prepare myself for the financial collapse. It's better that I save money and live with my mom. No, it's not. Because the more you live with your mom, the more feminine you're going to be. Sorry, that's just the way it is. It's a fact of life. Get out of there. Move. Move into a collective. Move in with other guys, okay? Begin to understand, what we're going to do with the Men of High Value community in the next 18 months or so, okay? In the next 2.5 years or so. Who knows how fast we can set up the Men of High Value community. That depends on the intensity of excitement that we have in the community, right? We can gather fast. There's some great places in the world. So anyway, get rid of the distractions. The next thing then will be focus on the task at hand. So what do I recommend that you focus on? I've explained this in the past, and if you don't have any jobs and if you don't have a business that is massively producing cash flow continuously right now, what I recommend is to be in the forefront of getting the jobs that you can get right now while they still exist. Okay, go out there and get 3 jobs as fast as possible and start working 70 to 80 hour work weeks to develop the capacity and discipline and being able to allow yourself to be led. Okay? And be the best freaking employee that you've ever been in your entire life. With always a smile on, always positive attitude, always going, like, being on time, always working until to the last minute, and doing your best to solve problems for your bosses, okay? That's number one. Why? Because we want you to have discipline, and we also want you to get rid of your porn and masturbation problems. That only comes because you're inside your house all the time. Get rid of your house. like have your apartment just as a sleep place and barely eating place. You want that place to basically almost be non-existent in your life because you're always out working. Does that make sense? And yeah, so once you've moved once you've started working 70 to 80 hours a week, you have to start your side hustle on the side with those few tiny other hours per day that you have, which is like maybe 1 hour per day, in order to build your business and to build your discipline to do the things that are necessary, even though you do not feel like it. That's what's going to happen. You're going to work 12 hours a day, and then, oh man, I'm so tired. I want to go to bed, and I'm so tired, blah, blah. And then you'll be reminded, no, there's a financial collapse coming. I need to get ready. I need to build a business. I need to set it up now, which means you got 1 hour. You have to do it. And the better you become at doing that extra step, that 13th hour of labor, man, you're going to be absolutely amazing because you're pushing yourself continuously. And as you grow your side hustle, you can begin now to quit your jobs one at a time as you increase your salary and increase the demand for your product or service that you got from your business. Does that make sense? Over time, you'll be full-time in your business and have so much business that you need to hire people. And then you'll do that wisely over time so that you can build your business and still think financial collapse. How can I proof my business? How can I prepare it in such a way that it stands there and we take a massive market share the moment there is a financial collapse? Does that make sense? So, with that being said, what do I recommend that you focus on? For the first time in history, we now have digital currency called cryptocurrency, not just any digital currency that's like fiat that you can print continuously over and over and over again. We have gotten something called Bitcoin. Oh my gosh. As a libertarian, as a freedom fighter, okay, as freedom being the one of the huge pillars of the Men of High Value movement, I am fired up outside my brain about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. If you do not understand the value of Bitcoin, okay, there's other libertarians out there. Peter Schiff, for example, who I respect highly, do not care for Bitcoin. He's like all gold, silver, gold, silver, gold, silver, gold. But Bitcoin, he's against, okay? He obviously does not understand what's going on. If you understood what's happening with Bitcoin in the cryptocurrency space, oh my gosh. This is why I highly recommend Untitled. Let me tell you the story of Untitled and how I know him. I met him in 2017. He's got about 230,000 subscribers on YouTube as we speak. I met him in 2017. He had just finished a cryptocurrency conference, and he got in my Uber. At that time, I had no idea who he was, and at that time, he was 20 years old. That's what I'm figuring out now. And at that time, he was already famous as a YouTuber. As a 20-year-old, he's a speaker that travels all around the globe explaining the power of cryptocurrency, and he's been doing it for years already. He's now 23. What happened in that taxi ride? I knew about Bitcoin, I knew about cryptocurrency, and I knew about that conference that he'd been to. So I was like, dang, I get one of the speakers in my car? That's freaking awesome. And then he's like, just drive me to the central station, and it was just a 5-minute ride. And I was trying to get as much information as possible. He sat himself in the car. I drove him to central station. When we arrived, I was like, bro, I'll give you half price, man. And it's half price compared to the train ticket to the airport. I'll drive you there personally, man. It's 30 minutes. Let's go. And he's like, all right, man, let's do it. So for basically 30 minutes, I got to pick his brain about crypto and Bitcoin. And not only that, but I got to see who he was as a person. I have the ability to see if someone is legit, okay? And from my understanding of his track record over the last few years, and him being 23 years old and being a libertarian, thinking the same way that I do, oh my gosh, he is the one that I watch the most on YouTube than any other person. And together with my channel, that's my recommendation to you as well, so that you understand what's happening in the world, because he talks about the macroeconomics and what's happening in the world with the banks and with the currencies, etc., because he's in the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency space. And he's got the world's biggest online academy about programming for crypto. Wow. Okay, so what I've decided to do, he doesn't know about this. This is not even sponsored. I want you guys to see him or just a commercial of his academy, simply because that is probably one of the best investments that you can make right now for your future, for your financial wealth, for you to be ready for the wealth transfer that's happening over the next few years. Why? Because in 2020, or I think it was 2019 actually, do you know which profession was the most in demand of all professions, including doctors, including AI, including everything online on LinkedIn? What is the most in demand profession? Blockchain developers. That one. That's insane. If you do not understand the power behind that, understand what's happening with the industry, what's happening with the bad currencies of the world that will all hyperinflate because they don't have any backing from gold. And now we're entering into a space with faster transactions, with worldwide transactions, with cryptocurrency in a way, and lending and borrowing and what we call decentralized finance, which means that you can actually do banking transactions or loans and borrowing, etc., for minimal fees without a third party like the bank. Oh my gosh. If you do not understand the DeFi space, you have to understand it. No matter who you are, no matter if you're going to build a business that has nothing to do with it, you've got to understand the cryptocurrency space. And I recommend that you study with Untitled, and even if you're not on the academy, understand what's happening around that space, because this in 2020 and 2021 is going to be the biggest aspect in terms of exponential growth and the creation of a bubble that you would not have believed. Okay, in 2016, 2017, that's when there was a massive bubble forming with Bitcoin and altcoins. Okay, and that there was a massive collapse. Bitcoin went up to 20K and then it collapsed, right? And then it's been like this since then. Now it's going to be a bigger bubble, but this time we've got institutional investors, hedge funds, countries, okay, coming in, wanting to buy cryptocurrencies, wanting to establish different dApps and different things on their platforms that require cryptocurrencies. And all of these people are beginning to go into Bitcoin. The more people FOMO into Bitcoin, the faster the growth is going to be. And the altcoins in that space are going to grow even faster than Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has, is so valuable already. Like, how high can it go? Do you understand what I mean? So I'm just explaining all this. It is beautiful. It is fantastic. If you're part of the Men of High Value movement, that's what I recommend. I'm going to show you the video that he has right now. Let's see. And we are live, guys.
Hey, let's do it, guys. Let's go.
All right. So
there you go. All right, guys, don't forget about our completely free webinar about stacking amazing amounts of sats in the bull market. You find the link below. You can sign up. And now it's time for...
All right. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys in terms of our good friend Ivan.ONTRACC. What I also have below in the description is an opportunity for you to sign up with an exchange that's called SWISSBORG. A fantastic exchange thus far, from my experience. Ivan.ONTRACC also recommends it, and you get up to 100 euros free worth of Bitcoin if you sign up on that platform. If you're American, they haven't established themselves there yet, but anywhere else in the world, many countries have established themselves on SWISSBORG. So check it out with the link below, and use the referral code, of course. So last thing, what am I going to say? If you're going to college or university right now studying something, I don't care what it is a flippin' waste of time. Quit immediately, because if you don't, you're gonna be left behind. Like, how do you have time to go to school, sit in class, listening to a boring lecture? I've been there, I know. And you're not learning anything, and you're preparing for an exam that's worthless for most employers, and then you try to get a job in a market where 50% of businesses are going to shut down because there's going to be a financial collapse, and you're basically just going to college and university. It is the worst decision you can make at this point in history. 50 years ago, 20 years ago, I would have said, all right, cool, going to college, great. You're going to get a great job when you get out of there. Going there now is horrific. I listen to the people who are on Luista's channel, okay? Like, Luista has a channel, and he talks to pretty much guys between the age of 16 and 24. The amount of guys that state on that, profile on Instagram, at Luista, check him out, that state that they're going to college so they need to hang up a canvas in their dorm room. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what is going on with the world? You're not educating yourself on what's happening, obviously. Quit. That's my recommendation. And as an example, I'm going to tell you, oh, but what if I'm a doctor? Or what if I'm studying this, that, and the other? Let's check out doctor for a second, just for fun, okay? There's a Crimson Education. They just have a very cool article. I can put it down below in the comments or description as well. But let's just read through what is. I have to do this first. Let's just read through what happens in that article of what's expected of you if you want to become a doctor. 1. Are you smart enough? Medical school is demanding. You'll need to understand all the body's functions, blah, 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 blah. This stuff is no joke. Prepare for long nights studying. Are you prepared for the time it takes? You will be giving a decade of your life to learn how to become a doctor. You aren't concerned you will get cold feet halfway through or decide it isn't for you once you finish school. Are you prepared to be stuck? Once you specialize, it's extremely difficult to respecialize. You're likely to be stuck a dermatologist or a pediatrics, or once you decide to take that path. It's not impossible to become something else or transition, but medicine expects you to know what you want from the get-go. Okay, interesting. Can you constantly work? Those nightmare stories from hospitals about doctors working 24 hours straight in 3 8-hour shifts, they're true. You'll pretty much never sleep again while you're a resident. And even if you decide to have a family, your patients will still need you. Being a doctor isn't very good for work-life balance. Are you okay with failure? Blah, blah, blah. At some point as a doctor, you'll make the wrong call. That call might cost someone's life. Fun. It's not negligence, that's just the way it goes. You need to be okay with that responsibility. Becoming a doctor takes a long time and requires a high level of commitment. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so if you understand this, guys, like, why would you want to put yourself through a decade worth of study? Like, can you do it in 2 years? Amazing, but you'll still have to be a doctor after that. Okay, and even if you make a lot of money, oh my gosh, I need to read that other aspect. Okay, this is pretty funny. I thought, there's one more thing in that article that I need to find for you guys. Can a doctor become a millionaire? Short answer, yes. Long answer, good luck. The very best doctors can earn a spectacular living, but will still work long hours. Even if you go into family medicine or general practice, you can earn a very comfortable living. However, it will be a long and tiring slog, so make sure you've thought about your career path in depth. before choosing to study medicine. For example, medical residents in the US make $55,000 per year on average. Okay? How many people will afford to go to a doctor once there's a financial collapse? Only the rich ones. And which ones do the rich ones go to? The good doctors, the best doctors. Are you prepared to be the best doctor in the world? Okay, then go study medicine. Residents also work between 80 to 100 hours a week, which works out at approximately $10 to $14 per hour. Not much better than a waiter getting good tips at a restaurant. Once you've battled through this stage, oh my gosh. So I hope you understand that the world of having a job is not very lucrative. It's not. You will make money and understand and have an amazing life and have an amazing work-life balance and be able to actually successfully navigate Three Girls in Love most effectively if you're a business owner. If you're masculine and desire to hire tons of people in your conglomerate. That's the way you need to think as a masculine man. If you think like that, I don't think you'll be going to college. And that's just my prediction. This is what I want to share with you guys. Hope you got tons of value out of this because I really tried my best to give you the best of the best of the best. This is the Men of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. I will see you in the next one. Oh, dang. That's actually a lot of comments here. Okay, let's just do those real quick. Man, talk about semen retention and attracting abundance. Why would you imagine that, dude? Lol, your imagination creates your reality. Imagine abundance, whoever's watching, not people suffering. Lol, abundance is our birthright. Facts, just gotta see it in your mind. Okay. Really, do not just accept what he's saying. Dude is awesome, provides great value, but do your own research too. Absolutely, completely agree. Before leaving, just expect abundance in your own well-being and not a collapse like how he's expecting. Lol. Yeah. Now, sorry, I'm completely disagreeing with that one. Just because you're attracting abundance in your life doesn't mean that the rest of the world attracts abundance because you're attracting abundance into your life. Like, that's just logic. Like, if everyone else in the world has a scarcity mindset, which a lot of them do, what do you think is going to be attracted into their lives? Okay, so you can attract abundance, absolutely. But then you got to make sure you do the right things in order to attract the correct abundance so that when there is a financial collapse, you're ready for it. It's not about you attracting abundance or scarcity in the sense of the big global financial collapse. You can benefit from the financial collapse if you have abundance in here. So does that make sense? So he's probably not going to get it, but that's okay. Great information as usual. Such a blessing from God to be born a male. Liquidate all your assets and buy gold, silver, crypto. This is how to get ahead in Raging 20s. Thank you, Ronald. Completely agree. That's how we're going to end this session. I'll see you in the next one.